This episode of Weekly Weird News is sponsored by HelloFresh.
So last week, we briefly covered some news out of South Korea. They're in the midst of a presidential election, or at least they were, and one of the two frontrunners, suk-yeol of the conservative People Power Party, was using a very innovative new method to get his message out. Basically, a team of animators was using artificial intelligence to synthesize an AI version of Yoon that looks and sounds just like him, but is not in fact him. Now, for a long time, the big fear with stuff like deepfakes has been political disinformation, like creating footage of your political opponents saying and doing things that they didn't actually say or do to blackmail them, essentially. But for Yoon, it's been much more practical than that. The AI version of Yoon Suk-yeol lessens the real-life Yoon's marketing and messaging burden and lets him focus on more important things like policies or whatever.
It also allows his team behind it to kind of say and clap back however they want without the risk of, well, it's just like, oh, well, I obviously didn't say that. That was the deepfake version of me. So, like,
unless you liked it, in which case I did say it.
That's the thing, is you kind of win both angles of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what are this guy's policies? Because last time we spoke, it was just like, let's just talk about how silly this is. By the way, yeah, he took a bribe or two here and there.
But it's South Korea. Who hasn't taken a bribe? Come on.
Come on. Let's dig a little deeper here. Because, and only because, he actually won.
Yeah.
So now this is a policy that might shape the global space.
He won.
But he did barely just win.
Very close.
The AI candidate won the South Korean election and will be South Korea's next president. But let's talk about those policies. What kind of president are we looking at here? Well, in the past, Mr. Yoon has criticized South Korea's labor laws, which cap the maximum number of hours someone can work at 52 hours per week.
Seems like a lot.
Outgoing President Moon put that law in place because of South Korea's notoriously overworked culture. But Yoon thinks workers should be allowed to work 120 hours a week. That's 3 times the typical American work week. And that would add up to a little over 17 hours a day, 7 days straight. Or, if you want to break it up, make things easy on yourself, 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday, with weekends off for some work-life balance.
Gotta have that work-life
Fire
balance.
up the barbecue. Do all your chores on those 2 days off.
Or just sleep for 48 hours straight.
That too.
While you get ready for the next 120-hour work week.
Oh, but don't worry. This 120-hour work week, you'd think in your head, you're like, yeah, if I could survive it, at least I'd be making a lot of money because of things like the minimum wage.
I'm all about that hustle and grind culture.
Sorry, though. He actually wants to abolish the minimum wage.
Oh, interesting. Where could that possibly lead? People making pennies on the dollar, working 3 times as much as usual.
Is this what I felt like seeing other countries seeing us elect a meme president?
Yes.
Like, oh, shit's about to get really bad for them. And therefore, the rest of the world.
Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of weird, bizarre parallels here, though.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in case it wasn't already abundantly clear, Mr. Yoon describes himself as a libertarian. No word on his age of consent opinions, but...
Yeah, I'm sure a public statement will be coming soon.
But another example of his libertarianism is his belief that food safety standards should be waived for poor people. Or as he phrases it, poor people should be allowed to eat foods that don't meet legal standards, just as they should be allowed to work 120 hours a week. There's no scenario in which they would be forced into doing those things.
That's personal freedom, baby.
Yeah. So as for his more prominent political stances, this guy also seems to think that feminism has gone too far, despite South Korea having some of the worst gender inequality among other democratic industrialized nations. And he also actively courted the votes of anti-feminists. Weird. Eerie. He also believes in resuming a more hostile relationship with North Korea after a few years of more gentle diplomacy under President Moon. He wants to increase military spending, and he's in favor of a preemptive strike against the North if they get too aggressive. What could go wrong? As such, he would also like the United States to please bring back the tactical nukes that they had them there for a while in the 90s. Because of treaties with countries like Russia, we removed the nukes, but Yoon would like the nukes back, please. He wants them pointed at the North, and point them at China while we got it here.
Look, we talk about nostalgia a lot on this show, but living through this generation, getting a little taste of the Cold War, is something that I feel like the boomers want us to have.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you had it bad?
Gives you backbone living through a Cold War.
Yeah. What if you were terrified of everything else that you're terrified of on a daily basis, but also the fact that you might get incinerated in milliseconds?
What if
at any point in time?
At any point, A chain reaction of events could cause the end of life on Earth as we know it.
Yeah. Mutually agreed destruction.
You probably wouldn't spend so much time on that phone now, would you?
Why don't you go touch grass before it's gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touch grass while it can still grow.
Yes.
On this planet.
So, unsurprisingly, Yoon Suk-yeol is being called South Korea's Donald Trump, though that is almost certainly a huge oversimplification. But like Trump, the guy won by an extremely small margin. 48.56% versus Lee Jae-myung's 47.83%, a difference of less than 1%. And wouldn't you know it, South Korea also has apparently, they have their own Jill Stein. Sim Sang-jung, who got 2.38% of the vote. Could have gone one way or the other, but it didn't. It's, thanks, Sim.
And she's also a far left niche candidate too, so.
Perfect.
If Korea is anything like the U.S., people on the left in Korea are never going to hear the fucking end of this ever again.
Yeah. Unlike the U.S., though, Election Day in South Korea is less about a bunch of cable news anchors sitting around a big desk yapping about the latest numbers coming in, and more about just letting Korea's 3D animators off the leash to create some of the most insane election graphics on Earth. And we previously talked about this 2 years ago after South Korea's parliamentary elections, which featured animations of candidates competing with each other in various ways that are all much more visually interesting than the politics that they depict. I mean, dance-offs, medieval jousting, lightsaber duels, duck boat races, and you get the picture.
Yeah, it's a great boon to the animation field in South Korea. I mean, I think this is something I remember when this first started going around. I think John Oliver covered it. It was like, oh, our cable news companies, they're totally gonna. No, for some reason they still insist on like walking around in like the fucking holodeck, and they're like, how big is a bear? It's this big.
Well,
shit like that. No,
America.
Give me cartoons.
The American production landscape is anything that's like able to happen live without any post-production on it at all is what they love. They're like, so you walk into a green screen, the graphics are already made, you just kind of point at things. If you had to like have someone do post-production on motion graphics for the news, it'd be like, oh geez, you're not finished, it's been 15 minutes, get it cranked out.
That is true. South Korea probably does benefit from their notoriously overworked work culture.
Yeah, that, or like you save it for stuff like this, like America has Steve Kornacki. You only let Steve Kornacki out with a bunch of numbers and calculators once every quarter or so. And then you put him back in.
We do have like occasionally a weather report when there's like a hurricane or something. You get the anchor out on the holodeck and they're like drowning, and then like
the water's 17 feet above their heads.
That's when it gets fun. But nothing in politics really like that.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, this election in Korea was no different than the last one we talked about. And in fact, they really stepped up their game, especially at the broadcaster SBS. So the highlight is probably this sequence in which Mad Max Fury Road aesthetics are used to represent the results of various down-ballot races. You've got candidates in rusty, modded-up muscle cars racing through the desert, hijacking a big rig, doing a little dance-off in the middle of it for some reason. There's also bobbleheads of the candidates on the dashboards, a lot of these cars. It's an incredible sequence. Even George Miller would probably be proud of this, though it does lack practical VFX, so it's clearly inferior to the real thing, but
they didn't do it the right way.
It's a great tribute.
If we did have those 120-hour work weeks, then maybe they'd have that grind set to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's this sequence which uses a claw game to represent the presidential vote breakdown along different demographic lines, with the winner in each category getting successfully grabbed by the claw while the other candidate falls back into the pit. Then, of course, the recent Winter Olympics were a big inspiration. We see the two main presidential candidates racing each other in speed skating, competing against each other at ice hockey, and in skis, both going downhill skiing and ski jumping. So that's cool. There's also Skeleton, the face-first solo version of bobsledding and downhill snowboarding.
Yeah, this is way more exciting than the real Olympics.
Yeah.
Which the other day I was like, oh yeah, did those end? Yeah, no, they ended a while ago. I just wasn't paying attention, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was, I forget the last pin we put it in it, but we said something, it was like, yeah, it's ending soon, and it had ended like a day before that.
Yeah, it was the whole Ukraine thing kind of overshadowed.
That's why initially,
the Olympics, yeah.
Putin was even like, all right, I'll wait till the end of the Olympics, and he kind of did.
Yeah, I think he waited till almost the end, but who's to say? These Olympics came and went just like the last ones.
Yeah,
for me. Anyway, there's way more in these graphics package. It's incredible. They give these guys all the awards. There's this whole sequence here that I have to assume is like a cultural reference that we're missing, but it involves both candidates racing through a high school, competing to get some sort of special Yu-Gi-Oh card or some shit, and then they shrink for some reason before returning back to normal size, and then working out in a park gymnasium before chasing each other across various other settings before finally ending up next to a yellow Labrador and 4 puppies and seeming very confused by what's happening. Maybe this is a reference to some form of Korean entertainment that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, I don't know.
They put a lot of effort into this one.
No Squid Game stuff?
No, and it's very strange.
Yeah. Anyways, there's this sequence which revolves around some sort of circular carnival ride and both candidates struggling to not lose their grip on the handrails. Eventually, they're both launched into the sky, then into space, and then into a sort of black hole scenario that's reminiscent of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So far, this has all been SBS's coverage, but here's something from Yonhap. Cute little cartoon versions of the candidates racing each other in cute little airplanes.
Oh, that's adorable.
But back over on SBS, there's just so much more, including some segments that are kind of hard to explain, like this one featuring CGI candidates hanging out in the wilderness, looking at the stars together and waiting for the sunrise. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And this one where the candidates' bodies are replaced with CGI bodies, doing silly things like firing a bubble gun, getting tickled, eating noodles, and holding a dog.
We're a fun country.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's weird, though, is at least as far as we've seen, there were not any direct references to Squid Game in any of these graphics, which is especially odd considering how hugely popular that show was very recently.
What's the one that came out after it where the gods come and destroy people?
Oh, my wife was watching that one a little bit. That one's fucking wild, too.
I know it's wrong, but I want to say the show is called Godsmacked.
It's called like Doomed or Damned or Straight to Hell or something like that. Because it's the one with the big like black fucking animals just like
just beating people into the earth.
Yeah, it's people. It's like
and they give them the time so that everyone can stand around and watch.
Yeah, like they get some sort of Death Note thing. Like you will be beaten to death by a bunch of like giant gorilla monsters. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it's called.
It's called Godsmacked.
Yeah, Godsmacked. Mm-hmm. I believe is what
on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix.
But they didn't reference that one either. That would have been cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the lack of Squid Game here, it might be because in the lead up to the election, the amount of shit talking between the candidates was making some people just refer to the whole thing as the Squid Game election.
Would have been too on the nose.
Yeah. So here's the AP from last week before the election actually happened. The race between South Korea's 2 leading presidential candidates has seen unprecedented levels of toxic rhetoric, mudslinging, and lawsuits. How bad is it? Hitler, beast, and parasite are some of the choicer insults leveled by both camps. Some are even calling it the Squid Game election, in reference to Netflix's mega-hit survival drama where people are killed if they lose children's games. And the stakes? There's widespread speculation that the loser will be arrested.
Some more from that article. Opinion surveys show that both candidates have more critics than supporters. Quote, isn't our national future too bleak with an unpleasant and bitter presidential election that calls for choosing the lesser of two evils? The mass circulation Dong Al Ibo newspaper said in an editorial. Yoon has slammed Lee over his possible ties to an allegedly corrupt land development scandal. By the way, that's the one where he got fruit, I think, as a bribe.
Oh, jeez.
Lee has denied any connection and in turn has tried to link Yoon to the same scandal while separately criticizing him for his reported ties to shamanism, an ancient indigenous religious belief. There have also been attacks on the candidates' wives, both of whom have been forced to apologize over separate scandals. Yoon described Lee's party as Hitler and Mussolini, while an associate called Lee's purported aides parasites. Lee's allies called Yoon a beast, dictator, and an empty can, and derided his wife's alleged plastic surgery. Their campaign teams and supporters have filed dozens of lawsuits charging libel and the spread of false information, among other issues. So it's getting wild, or it was wild. And in the midst of all of this, you have a candidate, quote unquote, that is able to do and say whatever he wants because it's not the actual candidate. It's an AI created deepfake version of the candidate that has people literally writing answers and quick comebacks, like a room of writers coming up with clapbacks.
Yeah, it's quite a recipe.
It's insane. Is this a retelling of America's past or a premonition of the future?
It's a foreign adaptation. They're putting a little twist on it. I do love the part. It's like, literally like do I have to choose a douche or a turd sandwich?
It's like, dude, we've been doing that for so long.
We hate both these candidates more than anyone actually likes them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Korean elections, they're wild. They always have been. The insanity does not stop after Election Day. Out of the last 4 presidents, 2 have been convicted of corruption-based crimes and gone to prison. One of them recently got pardoned by Moon, but one's still in jail. Another president committed suicide shortly after leaving office when he started being investigated for corruption. Just literally jumped off a cliff. So yeah, the thing about whoever loses this election maybe getting arrested, not just empty threats. They love arresting their politicians over there.
Mm-hmm.
And
their business leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the power of deepfake technology, that opens up a whole lot of possibilities for a country where politicians are routinely accused of corruption.
It's
what
also
could go wrong?
A great kind of... if Yoon does anything fucked up, you can just be like, it was the AI version of me. I didn't do that. We'll delete the file that we've scrubbed the record of me saying that. It was a digital file on a computer. I never said it.
Yeah. Obviously, that wasn't me. That was the AI Yoon.
Yeah.
I wonder if either of these candidates is going to start saying that they're demanding a recount, stop the steal sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next Korean election. At this point, it looks like they're about 5 years behind us with all this stuff.
Yeah, well, then they'd have to make a bunch of new graphics, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of work. But hey, we're, of course, in no position to mock the political insanity of another country. Look at us.
No.
Things are plenty insane right here at home. And here's some news about one of the biggest sources of insanity, Mike Lindell. Here's something he said recently.
I've been working on it 5 months, and we're doing a class action. Actually, I'm announcing it here. I announced it on my program. Y'all watch frankspeech.com? Keep watching. But it's a class action lawsuit against all machines and that they're defective devices, okay?
So Mike Lindell is officially raging against all machines. They're all defective, all of them. But okay, clearly Mike Lindell is only talking about voting machines used in elections, which is the thing he's been ranting about for over a year now in his doomed quest to prove that Donald Trump actually won the 2020 election. Still though, what does suing all the election machines entail? And isn't Mike Lindell himself also currently being sued for libel by multiple ballot machine manufacturers? Doesn't he have enough lawsuits on his plate already?
No.
Apparently not, but we're especially intrigued by this line.
And we're going to get rid of these machines once and for all for any election in history.
Okay, outside of using time travel, it sounds like he's proposing we invalidate the results of any U.S. election that used ballot counting machines.
Once and for all of history. It's these machines.
Pretty damn ambitious.
Yeah.
And we wish him the best of luck. It's
This
just
man can't be stopped.
the opening scene of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but instead of a robot crushing human skulls, it's Mike Lindell walking over ballots that were analyzed by machines.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. He's just smothering them with pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how he kills the robots.
He smothers them with his comfortable pillows until
They
they
can't breathe. The filling is too thick.
They just shut themselves off from being too comfortable.
Yeah.
But politics isn't just about elections. People are divided along all sorts of lines these days, from sports teams to comic book movie fandoms to even which video game console someone prefers. There's always been a console war, but the intensity of the console war has escalated over the years. And it's now reached its high point, I think. A medical doctor in India has risked losing his job in order to get an own on his Xbox fanboy enemies. Here's Vice.
People are review bombing a hospital in India with 1-star reviews after a doctor tweeted a video of himself during a procedure with an unconscious patient. The anesthesiologist, who goes by Dr. Shrivira on Twitter and his YouTube channel, filmed himself supposedly in an active operating room where he had just anesthetized a patient and was preparing for an invasive procedure to remove a gallbladder. He claimed to be defending himself against people claiming he's not a real doctor because they disagree with his passion for the console wars. Console wars is shorthand for the decades-long argument between gamers about which platform, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo devices, PC gaming, and so on, is the best. Shrivira posted the video to Twitter writing, "Here I am after inducing anesthesia, intubating, and putting a patient on controlled mechanical ventilation for a laparoscopic cholecystectomy case in OR. Slandering my identity, profession, because you ex-bots can't argue facts? According to gaming news outlet Dextero, he added, "Saving lives, my job. Console wars, my hobby." He was allegedly trying to defend himself from accusations that he wasn't a real doctor.
Well, that'll show them.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think I'm a real doctor? I'm going to film myself in the OR with a patient he's under right now because I'm the anesthesiologist, and I should be paying attention to that. But
Soon
right
enough,
now,
he won't be a real doctor.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just happy to hear about a review bombing of a hospital and not an actual bombing of a hospital because that's been happening.
Yeah, I prefer this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, the video
Send review bombs, not actual bombs.
The video does show the PlayStation doctor in an operating room with an unconscious patient. He zooms in on the guy's medical chart with all of his personal medical information on it. Seems like a pretty huge breach of privacy.
You see that? One of my haters. He's got his gamer tag right there on the medical chart.
Yeah, this guy likes Xbox. I don't know. Will he survive his surgery? I guess we'll see.
Halo sucks.
I'm going to tattoo the PlayStation logo on his spleen.
Yeah.
So yeah, this isn't really the kind of behavior you would want from a guy whose job is to keep you sedated and alive during an invasive medical procedure. Kind of want them to focus, get off that phone. But yeah, people online quickly figured out which hospital the doctor likely worked at, and they, of course, review bombed it. Not real bombed, review bombed.
Yeah, good.
And the doctor eventually issued a poorly received apology video before just completely deleting his online presence. It's unknown what, if any, consequences the doctor might now be facing, but we can just file this whole thing under when keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder how many other doctors, if you just harass them online, "You're not a real doctor." If you did that long enough, they'd eventually crack and be like, "Oh, I'm not a real doctor? Is this not real surgery that I'm doing right now?"
It is funny how thin the skin can be, but I kind of get it when you go to medical school for 8 years and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to have some shithead be like, "You're not a doctor. I know doctors."
Is medical school in India the same as I feel?
I'm assuming it's very thorough
I don't
and
know.
intensive, and I'm not entirely sure how much they have to pay into their system there.
Yeah.
But it is still a sacrifice that you take for both your education and look. We joke about people who are built different. Doctors and teachers are built different.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way I could handle.
This guy's definitely built different.
Yeah, because he's fucking gaming all night, doing surgery all day, and doesn't take shit from nobody.
No. Yeah, he's fighting a war on two fronts. Keeping
Exactly.
his patients alive and keeping the X-bots in their place.
Yeah. You do have to hand it to
I
him.
wonder if this guy was ever one of those Naruto accounts in our comments.
Probably, yeah.
Ah ha ha! So many X-bots here in the comments when clearly the PlayStation is the superior console.
You know, you never know what the good old days are till you're out of them. You never know when you're living in them.
Have fun playing your Xbox Series shit while I play my PlayStation 5. Ha ha!
Real heads out there, remember the multiple
They're all
Naruto accounts.
anime accounts, yeah.
Naruto accounts that would argue whatever the video was. They would go in and argue about how the PlayStation was better in our comments section.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Only not second to, but as nostalgic as the I remember when this was a gaming channel.
Yeah.
When it was never a gaming channel.
You remember incorrectly, sir.
You were on the wrong channel.
Your memories deceive you.
Man, those were good times.
Anyway, we've got the headlines half of the show coming right up. But first, this episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients to your door, including farm-fresh produce that arrives within a week, so you get convenience without skimping on quality. Skip the trip to the grocery store, saving you the wait in long lines and ensuring you don't waste money on excess food. HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items to choose from every week, including veggie, calorie-smart, family-friendly, and gourmet options, providing plenty of variety.
HelloFresh is really great if you're looking to dip your toes into vegetarian cooking. And on next week's menu, they've got some delicious veggie options like the Hall of Fame zucchini and mushroom bibimbap bowls and the hot honey Brussels and ricotta flatbreads.
I had, last week I had smashed bean tacos, or tostadas. Really good veggie option, and they were tasty, and with the sauces and stuff you put on it, you have no idea there's not actual meat in it.
It's all
great.
about the sauces. Go to HelloFresh.com/weeklyweird16 and use code weeklyweird16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Again, that is up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts by going to HelloFresh.com/weeklyweird16 and using code weeklyweird16.
Thanks for sponsoring the show. Now let's get to the weirdest, wildest headlines from around the world from this week, starting with Russian Orthodox leader says Ukraine invasion is part of struggle against gay parades.
See, I was told that Ukraine was full of Nazis, and that's why they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out, I guess that one didn't stick too well. So now the Ukraine is full of gay parades.
Yeah.
And that's why they're coming in to stop it.
That's
It's full of Nazis and just gay parades all over the place because Nazis love gay parades.
Remember when they drew that giant penis on our bridge? No, that was a Russian guy. No. It was the Ukrainians drew the giant penis. And when the bridge went up, it looked like a boner. And this is payback, damn it.
And it was a gay boner. Not
it was
just any boner.
The gayest boner.
Yeah.
Because if it's a drawbridge, it's two boners going up next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extra gay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this hasn't been reported on too much because it's not really that central to this whole thing. But there's a whole full-on, religious schism happening over this. Like the way... the original schism, the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church. Something like that is happening again. The Russian Orthodox Church, which is the main church in lots of parts of Ukraine, is having to split off now into its own separate religion because all of the top bishops in Moscow support the Ukrainian war. So it's sort of like the Pope telling Catholics in France or whatever that no, it's the Nazis are good. You should let them take over. This is your fault.
Well, meanwhile,
so it's causing trouble for the first time in 1,000 years. Very fascinating.
Meanwhile, the group of Americans that do seem to be supportive of everything that's happening right now are under the belief that Putin is actually going to cause the apocalypse that allows them to ascend to heaven.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to not be involved in any sort of apocalypse.
Exactly. No,
personally.
But that's been happening. Anytime that there's a huge world event like this, we're like, we told you it's apocalypse time.
Finally, the rapture.
And we're going to heaven, and the rest of you fuckers are going to be stuck down here. Ha!
I'm going to disappear, and it's going to be a pile of clothes. And then you're going to look stupid, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to get left behind, just like Kirk Cameron.
No, Kirk Cameron's going to heaven.
And Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
In the other Left Behind movie.
Oh, okay.
An assistant principal read the children's book, I Need a New Butt, to second graders. He was fired.
Okay.
It's literally a book written for children. It's about
sounds like it.
It's about a little boy. He's like, oh no, I need a new butt because mine's got a crack in it. And so he tries on different butts. It's silly. It's a silly book for little kids. And this guy read it to his class because his scheduled speaker didn't show up. So he's like,
what'll be fun? A little comedy.
Grab the
comedy.
nearest book. He's like, the kids loved it. He's like, yeah, the kids love the book about butts because it says butts and it talks about farts. And they love it. And didn't even have time, literally right after he was called into his boss's office.
You think you can say butt around a kid?
Yeah.
And you fucking pedophile.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And no complaints from students, no complaints from teachers, literally just preemptive cancellation.
Insane.
Which is becoming more and more of a thing.
Yeah.
People pre-canceling themselves.
Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. We got to get ahead of this.
Yeah. So the school just being we got to get ahead of this. They're going to accuse us of grooming on Tucker or whatever, which now Laura Ingraham is just accusing schools of grooming children by acknowledging the existence of gay people.
There are places in your city where adults gather children into rooms and hold them for hours every day. What are they doing in those rooms?
Sometimes they even nap. They make the children nap.
Do you feel safe with your children sleeping around adults watching them?
That's fucking wild. So yeah, this guy, he's got so much public support from every children's book author. And all of his former students. He genuinely actually sounds... There's people that are like, oh yeah, this guy was my teacher 20 years ago, and he was the coolest guy ever. Really loved to read to kids and stuff. So hopefully it works out for him. He's gonna have to
he needs to get rehired and then quote the book in front of the school proudly.
Yeah.
I need a new butt. I need a new butt. Get everyone going.
It's just so funny because it's this is what actual cancel culture is. This fucking conservative book censorship thing where it's they have the books they want banned and stuff, but they're creating a sense of fear
out of everything.
You're afraid to read anything that even might be possibly interpreted as, critical race theory or grooming children. And I guess a very silly book that talks about farts and butts falls into that category.
You want to hear a terrible joke that I heard the other day?
What?
My father-in-law called me and he goes, Ricky, did you see the news? Biden's in the hospital. And I was like, what? No. Oh my God, let me look it up. And I'm looking at my phone and he goes, what, you don't believe me? And I was like, no, I just want to see what's going on. And he's like, he's in the hospital. You know why he's in the hospital? And I was like, what? And he goes, he couldn't stop Putin. And I was like, what? And he goes, Putin. I was like, oh.
Couldn't stop Putin. He's got a serious gas problem. Wow.
So
that's not even a dad joke. That's a grandpa joke.
Yeah, true. And then I thought it was some like kind of shame. Like he was like, oh, he's had a rough time like dealing with the whole Ukrainian conflict, so he had a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
It took me a while to actually get that it was a fart joke.
It would be wild. Did you hear that Trump almost died the other day?
Yeah, one of his engines went out on a plane.
His plane almost crashed into the fucking Gulf of Mexico. Can you imagine like how insane the results of that would be? Like all the Q people would just immediately be like, okay, he was killed.
Yeah.
Joe Biden cut the brakes or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like shit would get so fucking insane if Trump died.
Isn't he using that as like a catalyst to make the government buy him an Air Force One now?
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Like it's like, you got me flying around on my own plane? This is what happens. One of the engines goes out. But realistically, he was technically not in any danger because they fly just fine without it. But not with both engines gone. One's fine.
Yeah. It's the backup engine.
Couldn't stop Putin. Next headline, ancient Japanese killing stone said to contain evil demon has cracked open. Yeah, I mean...
Probably fine.
This is a pretty good, just as good excuse as anything else as to what's currently happening.
That demon's gonna be like, 10,000 years, I'm finally free. And then look around and be like, well, this fucking sucks. Put me back in the rock.
Yeah.
How can I make this any worse than it already is?
Yeah, I love the idea, too, of like an ancient demon trying to cause trouble now with the things that are actually happening. Like, I blew out all the candles in their room when it was dusk, and now they can't see anything.
It would be a good, it's sort of a what we do in the shadows type thing.
Yeah, where it's just like not adjusted for the current times, where it's like everything's
like Dr.
actually...
Evil, like, $1 million.
Everything's actually just mischievous instead of like actually evil.
How will they ever recover?
Yeah, I know what I'll do. I'll release a plague across the planet. We just had one of those.
What?
I'm all out of idea. What if I start an international conflict with crazy consequences like the entire Earth exploding?
We've got that already.
It's currently happening. Well,
put me back in the rock. Wake me up in another 1,000 years.
How about a whoopee cushion?
So yeah, that's I guess the Killing Stone. It's got the evil demon. There's a demon wandering the earth now.
I can't wait for the Netflix series, The Killing Stone.
Accidental missile launch into Pakistan caused by technical malfunction, India says. Great timing, guys. We're on the brink of World War III over here, and...
Hey, all you Xbots! I told you I was... I told you I work for the military. Watch this.
It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's a decades-long nuclear standoff between those two countries that's also been happening this whole fucking time. Sure, why not? Let's just throw some fuel on that fire.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it literally was an accident. The missile it wasn't live. It didn't have a payload on it, but it still crashed into another country that has very credible reason to believe that they will be attacked by India at any given moment.
Sorry.
And are ready to respond with equal force. So that's fun. We're back in the Cold War, baby.
This one goes out to all those Xbots out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Samuel L. Jackson says it is bullshit that Jonah Hill has more on-screen curses in his career.
I was shocked to read this, but yeah.
I mean, just
Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, yeah.
Like it's
and Superbad.
Yeah. The Wolf of Wall Street's like he says the F word like 75 times in Wolf of Wall Street.
Also the most quotes of spermicidal lube on camera.
With your spermicidal lube.
Your fucking condom with your spermicidal lube?
Movie's so good still.
Couldn't make that today. My work here is done.
No, you could. They literally made the girl version with Jonah Hill's sister.
Nope, can't do it.
Booksmart. Good. It's a good movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it is like, it's the girl Superbad. It's not like one for one, but I quite liked it. And it's got the kid Skylar, the son from Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The freckly kid who's like weirdly super jacked. He's in it. Great little bit part. It's a good movie. Check it out. But yeah, Sam Jackson's gotta bump up those numbers because
I know.
He looks like a young man. He's getting old. He doesn't have much time left.
I think the real challenge that he should put out there is if Jonah Hill can beat his record for using the N-word in movies. Are you a bad enough dude to do it, Jonah? I don't think you got the. I don't think you got the grapes.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a real challenge.
Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, I need your help.
No, then Samuel L. Jackson could be like, look, I don't want him in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. Shit.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson's also got the inside line on Spike Lee too. So
Jonah Hill might be out of luck on that one.
Yep. Sorry, Jonah. What are you gonna do?
Moviegoer disrupts the Batman screening after releasing live bat inside movie theater.
Ha ha ha. We have to shut down the whole theater now while this bat is dealt with. Got him.
Good joke.
Great. Yes. They had to shut down. They paused the whole thing for half hour while they tried to guide this bat out of the theater. Luckily, this was in Texas where they do know how to...
Everyone just shot it?
Yeah, well, they do know how to deal with bats down there.
Yeah.
As you know. A lot of bats in Austin.
Speaking of Austin, before we get to the end of the episode to tell you about it,
coming to Austin.
We're going to be performing in Austin, Texas on April 1st. There's a link in the description or a comment below to where you can buy tickets to see us live.
Still a few seats left.
So make sure you get it and come out and give us a clap.
Yeah, but no bats. Don't bring any bats to our show. You're going to ruin everything if you do that. It's not funny. No one's going to laugh.
That is not a joke.
Everyone's just going to be annoyed.
Yes.
Road to Table. Wyoming's got a new app for claiming roadkill.
That's cool.
And this is great.
Yeah.
Because deers, very dumb animals. They got a death wish, and it would be a shame. All the mule deer that get killed by cars, a lot of good meat on that bone.
Yeah. And it's not to be to use the wrong phrasing, but you kill two birds with one stone on this because people go there and clean it off the road.
Yeah.
In order to make deer jerky or whatever they feel like.
You do have to send tissue samples to the proper authorities before harvesting that meat because there could be extremely dangerous pathogens.
Yeah.
You could give yourself prion disease and die a horrible death if you consume meat that happens to have the deer version of mad cow in it. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, once it clears all the tests, hey, buddy, that freezer's going to be full for a while.
Go nuts.
And it all really comes down to spices. It's not beef, but... But you can have some
deer jerky is delicious.
It is.
Yeah.
I like deer.
Yeah. They call it venison to make it sound fancy.
Venison. Oh.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, this is something the French must be eating.
Venison. Convoy trucker not pleased that DC drivers keep flipping him off.
They're still going around that beltway?
I guess so this was done in response to the Canadian trucker convoy, but this one is even less it's even harder to tell what it is they want because they're...
Yeah, like, the mandates aren't like...
There's no mandates. They're like, we want to repeal the mandate. It's like, America's back open. There's no one is stopping you from doing anything except you do still have to wear a mask on airplanes. Like, that's fucking it.
For like 3 more weeks, I think.
Yeah, even that's going away. Like, what the fuck are you protesting?
They don't know, but they already made the commitment to be there.
They're just so mad. And yeah, they...
Well, because I heard it was just like they did like 1 lap and then it was done. But then I keep seeing stories pop up about people.
They're hanging out in Virginia, I think. Jacob Wool and Jack Berkman showed up at their HQ and then got kicked out because people thought they were like secretly Antifa or something like that. Because they just give off very suspicious vibes.
Yeah. These guys are up to something.
But yeah, and also like the Beltway around DC is like not really ideal for a large convoy of trucks to drive around in, and the traffic's already bad. So yes, of course, people are going to be mad at you for making traffic even worse than it already is. You don't even live here. Go home. You're not protesting anything anymore.
You know,
the virus won.
If because a lot of those jobs could be probably work from home, and then you wouldn't have to deal with all these trucker convoy people.
That's true. That's true.
I had to come back to work, and the week I have to come back into the office, there's fucking trucker convoy all over the road.
Oh, America's back.
Boss spiked energy drink with colon cleanse and gave it to employees, Texas cops say.
Evil. This woman worked for the government. She worked for some election board in Texas. And literally just she's like gathered around all her employees and made them drink colon cleanse. Then came back an hour later and was like, ha ha! Got you! You drank colon cleanse. Ha ha! And, I don't know if she did this. Like, I removed all the toilet paper from the bathrooms and the toilet seats. Ha ha! So yeah, I mean, she poisoned her employees. That's that's a crime.
It's kind of crazy how much this was used in 80s movies as like a cool prank. Three Ninjas. They did it in Three Ninjas. Ooh, this delicious soda pop. Hey, give me that. Blub, blub, blub. And then he takes a huge shit.
It was a plot point, and that's probably why so many like Gen Xers and whatnot think it's just a perfectly normal prank.
Yeah. It was like when Epicac became big again after the Family Guy thing.
Oh my God.
So many people were doing that on like
the Epicac challenge.
That was pre-YouTube or not, but like a lot of people were like, oh, well, you can drink this thing that makes people violently projectile vomit.
This thing that's designed for people who are experiencing like acute poisoning.
Yeah, and babies. Babies who have swallowed poison.
They need to evacuate
just
their entire digestive system ASAP. We're going to take it for fun.
Yeah.
And I remember that. Yeah, that was like mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Every person who did it was like, yeah, how bad could it be? And then immediately after, they're like, that's the worst fucking thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah, because it clears everything. You're vomiting up like bile and stomach acid.
You can't stop. Yeah, it's miserable.
It's an extreme use case to save your life. And colon cleanse, making people shit. And not only that, taking away all the toilet seats and toilet paper.
No, she didn't actually do that.
Oh, okay.
I just made
okay. Because, I mean, it's on the same level.
Yeah.
But, not great.
No.
Not great.
Anyway, final headline. Nobody wants to work for their success, says Kim Kardashian.
Right when, like, she's been doing a decade of rebuilding her image as a decent, like all things considered, a pretty great person.
Like using her privilege for good.
Going to law school to become a lawyer in order to, with the specific goal of revisiting cases that were completely unfair.
Yeah.
And getting people who were unjustly tried out of prison. Being the victim of what appears to be some pretty extreme spousal abuse, mentally, emotionally, which is still ongoing. And launching multiple successful brands. Yes, she was born not even on third base.
Ladies, get up off your ass and work. Come on.
She was absolutely born on third base and did get famous off of a sex tape.
Listen, ladies, you need to film yourself hooking up with a rapper and then leak it to a porn company.
Yeah.
Get that paper. Come on, ladies.
But skip forward 20 years.
Ladies, you need to have an Olympian for a step-parent.
Yeah.
Ladies, your father needs to represent a celebrity accused murderer at a trial. Come on.
Yeah.
If I can do it, anyone can.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that, though, like, she turned a bit of the public sentiment around, I'd say, and then immediately threw it away with this comment.
Shut up. No one, of all things that your opinion is not needed on, people's work ethic is near the top of the list.
And it's, this is like a thing, you know, how they'd say, like, let's go, Brandon. And it's like, triggered you. And it's like, this is one of those things that actually pisses people off. Like the exact quote of nobody wants to work anymore.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, because they're misrepresenting the actual goal. It's like, no, finish the sentence. Nobody wants to work anymore under these conditions for this pay.
Anyway, now Pete Davidson's antagonizing Kanye.
He's had enough.
He's sending him texts being like, just fuck your wife, shit like that.
In bed with your wife.
Right. Yeah. But that was implied.
Yes, of course.
And then Kanye being like, oh, we're using swears now? It's like, shut the fuck up. Both of you. But especially Kanye. He's like, oh, all I did was do a music video where I behead you and just went on fucking insane, psychotic social media rants about you for an entire month straight. And like,
what'd I do?
And then you come at me like this? Like, come on, man. This is, wow. They need to stop. Everyone needs to stop.
Everyone needs to fucking calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down. Anyways, that's it for this week's episode of Weekly Weird News. If you haven't seen it already, we have a new episode of News Dump where Jussie Smollett, finally sentenced, going to jail, probably going to appeal and all that, but 150 days. Jussie Smollett. And also Tech News Day, where we talk about more about the bans that are happening in Russia. Check both of those episodes out. Leave a comment, subscribe, like the video, and come to Austin April 1st.
I'll see you in Texas.
Stars at night, big and bright. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.